Good morning, gardening friends. Today is Sunday, October 22nd, and it's about 8:30 in the morning. Miss Mimi came out for a drink. It's a beautiful day out today. I've got my fountains going. I've been doing a lot of activity since last week in the garden, but not a lot has changed. So I'll try and focus on the things that have, or stuff I haven't talked about before. First off, the hummingbirds have gone. All I'm feeding now is bumblebees. This, by the way, is one of the lavenders that I got actually two. I planted them in the one pot. They don't look real well, but lavender in zone 8B tends to do better in pots, at least I've found. I did go ahead and split my papyrus last week. This one on the other side had died, and that sprout was in that pot. So I unpotted it, cut the sprout out, and put it here. I did bring out my paperwhite bulbs just to show you the progress. I'm going to have to get rid of some of the dirt. I guess when sending out the roots, they're pushing the dirt upwards. There was a little bit on the floor in my kitchen. I have decided the bananas are going to be allowed to turn yellow. If I keep after pruning off all the yellow, I'll wind up with one or two leaves left on the top. It's their natural progression when the weather starts getting cool. Here you can see my lettuce. I've been eating more lettuce recently. In the backyard, primarily what I've been doing is cleaning up the aspidistra. So I got rid of a lot of the damaged and yellowed aspidistra leaves. That's one of those thankless jobs because I've been doing it now for 2 days straight, and I've probably got another day to go. And at best, the aspidistra kind of just recedes into the background as opposed to showing dead tips. Here's a spot that I haven't quite made it to, so you can see the dead tips there, but the rest of that is fairly clean. Ooh, the loquats are strong today. Almost a powdery scent is in the air. Very, very strong. It's also attracting bees a little bit later. It's a little too early for them right now. I also tied up and trimmed back this angel's trumpet because it was swamping that whole area. And so I tied it up just to itself. Frost will knock it down to the ground. Here you can see where I cleaned up the aspidistra. I had to be a little bit, I had to give it some leeway over here because it had burned so badly. If I just left fresh green leaves, I wouldn't have much left. So I thinned out the stuff that looked really bad. In fact, there's a little bit that I called it quits on yesterday. That'll remind you what it did look like. There you go. I have to get at that another day. While I'm back here though, these datura really look nice. I don't see any seed pods yet. Here you can see the double. They are all doubles. but they really show up more when you get right close onto them. Back in here, I don't see any activity with the holly yet. Here are the other two lavenders. These lavenders have been here in these pots for about 4 years now. Actually, I tell a lie. They've been here for 3 years. 1 year they spent on my front porch because I like the look of lavender. But I brought them back here as they aged. And I planted a loropetalum over here. It was dug up from the front yard. I don't know whether or not it's going to live here or not, but at least that's where I put it. It's a small one. And here you see one group of the bags of aspidistra. I think I got about 8 bags altogether so far. Probably got another 2 to go. Here you can see my little yellow knockout rose. Sunny is about ready to bloom. I do have a lot of birds back here, and a bird, I won't touch it, but a bird sat on that limb and kind of snapped it. That's the blessing you have when you're frequented by a lot of birds. I did see a bloom stalk starting here. Not as spectacular as last year, but it's going to bloom nonetheless. The gill area. The toad lilies are still blooming and holding their own. Let's see if they have a scent. I never really smelled one before. No, they don't have a scent. They're pretty but small, as you can see. Putting my fingers there, my hand there. They seem to like that spot. My bougainvillea is coming back again. Here you can see bird damage to the plant that I've been putting here, that I put here. They chomped up all of this other sedum that I had, but they haven't touched it in the ground. Go figure. Maybe they just haven't seen it yet. My satsumas are ripening. You'll see more of that shortly. These are the pots that I used to have on the front stoop or steps. I put yellow chrysanthemums in there. They look kind of nice with the red and the yellow here. Yellow always stands out from a distance. When in doubt, plant yellow. You'll see it from a long way away. Got to keep the door closed because Mimi is out. Now here you can see a lot better how ripe the satsumas are getting. Probably another month they'll be ready to eat. Coleus, it is sending out sprouts. It was trimmed back late in the season. Oh, there's paper whites from last year coming up. What I do is, after I enjoy them in the house, I plant them outside, usually in a clump. Here's a new addition. This is where the loropetalum was. I've got an encore azalea here and there. They were on sale, so therefore I bought them. And they are called Autumn Chiffon. They're pink and white. They actually remind me of the indica azaleas I have at the street, the George Tabor. except these, of course, are the encore and they bloom in the fall. Here you can see the borage is coming up. It is edible. The little green plants. It tastes like celery. Dill is grown already. Parsley is holding its own. I did plant up this circular bed around my mailbox. I put in more yellow pansies. I thought what I'd do is, since I already have yellow pansies in the front, I'd make it look like a border of yellow pansies. So I have them all along the front of the fence, and I also planted them around this circle. And then I planted the dianthus. They actually do have a beautiful scent, very sweet. Sweet William is what my grandmother Mary used to call them, my father's mother. She had Sweet Williams that came up year after year. Well, I was hoping to show you blossoms on the cassia, but they haven't opened yet. They will. The newly planted gardenias are still doing well as long as I water them. And here you can see where I stopped in the front. I sort of started over in this spot. And I have that left to go yet. I also did by the street. This little group, I guess you have to see it from the front, because unless you do the whole thing, you don't really see the difference. But here is where I've been working. These aspidistra are going to be a pain because they really haven't been cleaned in 2 years. Last year I just never got around to it. And of course this year, with the construction, I never got out to the front of the street to deal with them. But I will work on them little at a time. I go at it hot and heavy for about 20 minutes, bag them up, and then take a break. Ooh, I have to put some water in the bird bath. I don't need to water anything, but water needs to be put into the bird bath. And these autumn carnation are really putting on a nice show. These are double. The autumn chiffon are more single blossom like this, except they're pink and white. So there you have it. Little update as to what's happening. My Dianella, these I just planted this year, so they're going to look fine. Also called flax lilies. And these were left out last year and died back to the ground and came back fine. I believe 3 of those used to be in my window box. They spent their first summer. It's one of the few things that'll look bright in the shade. But of course, frost will kill them back in the winter, so I planted them in the ground rather than protecting them. But they'd make a nice north-facing window box. That's about it for today. This banana is so thick that I think I'm going to try and cut the yellow out of it for a little bit longer. But we are fighting Mother Nature. The cold weather makes them turn yellow, and eventually they'll be cut back. But this one is just so thick right now, I don't want to affect it too much. It has enough leaves to cover whatever I might take off. And there's my nod to Halloween/Thanksgiving. We'll leave you with a picture. Oh, the butterfly bush is more in blossom this week. And the lantana has finally come into its own. I'll leave you with lantana today. Have a good day.